we were in JavaScript. See now, the way I'm actually doing, and also this helps actually. So I'm going kind of all the chapters which are there in javascript.info. So you should take this as our reference book, main book. If at all you are learning JavaScript, you learn whatever they have given in this book, this online book. This is more than enough. Yeah. So and also I'm going, I'm telling you each and every chapter in this book. So in the same way, you also should read each and every chapter, every concept which is there. This
Okay,
is
sir.
your reference. This is what is your book. Nothing else. Even let's say you have not understood, you understood, you want to know more, yeah, reread this chapter. That's how you will be able to cover most of the things. And this is the best book suggested by many. Yeah, I also found it as very good, even both from learning as well as preparing for interview point of view.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, with that said, so last in the last meet that we had, so we discussed mainly on what is an Hello World program, code structure. Yeah, I think with respect to code structure, what did we learn? We learned whether a semicolon is required, optional. So what exact is a statement and what is a comment. So JavaScript supports both single line comment and multi-line comments, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we understood what is called as modern mode, which is called use strict. So basically, JavaScript has this another mode called strict mode. By default, it won't execute things in strict mode. But why we introduce strict mode? To fix some of the bugs that they were introduced at the time of language creation. So and this came in the year 2009. So 2009 in the version 5 they added this directive. This should be there at the top of your file. Yeah, should be with the very first line. If it is, or it should be the very first line within the function if at all you are only enabling for function. And if you remember what did I say? So use strict will throw some of the syntaxes which are kind of considered as warning by default. For example, you are trying to uh, you know use a variable without even defining it or assigning a value to some variable without even defining it. So which is not valid. So by default, JavaScript will not say anything. But if you run with the strict mode, then it will throw that as an error. So likewise, there are many syntaxes which JavaScript supports, but they are not supposed to be, you know, or they are not good way to continue with. That's why they brought this strict mode. Yeah, it could be like assume like I'm defining a variable, let's say var xyz. Again, I'm defining the variable var xyz. JavaScript will not throw any error. Yeah, it is not going to complain. So basically, this is a directive for compiler only, strict mode. So with that, we know what are first of all variables. There are different ways to define variables in JavaScript. So the very old syntax is var, var, and then the latest syntax that we have is let and const. Yeah, so we can. So again, I told you const is the preferred one. If you cannot continue with const, you can go for let. So here they explain first of all what is a variable, what is the concept behind a variable. So variable is basically holds the information. Yeah, it's a kind of data store. Yeah, and for that you are giving the name. That's why it's called named storage. You give some name to it with the name as message, and you store whatever you want. And since JavaScript is not a strict type language, JavaScript is loosely typed language. So we don't mention the type. At the, so at the time of initialization, whatever value we give, that will be the data type. I think next we are going to discuss that only. What is a data type? Isn't it? So here they're given a syntax. Okay, how do I define multiple syntaxes to define variable? Can I define them in, each of them separately in single line? Can I put comma and define them in multiple lines? And which one to use, where instead of let? So if at all you're finding where, that means it's a very old code. Yeah, in the new code we don't use where at all. But they have one very important concept today. Okay, so which is actually called variable naming. Very important in terms of naming. Yeah, so now they specifically talked about variable naming. I think, yeah, it is also called as naming convention for variables. So what kind of conventions we have in Java actually to name a variable? Because you guys come from that background, that's why I'm asking you. What are the Java standard naming convention? Anybody? So if at all I have to define a variable in Java, so there are some naming conventions, correct? This is called a valid name, this is invalid name. I cannot name a variable with so and so.
They not to start with numbers.
They should not start with numbers. Okay. Anything else?
And special characters they not use.
You cannot use special character other than star and dollar. Correct? No, underscore and dollar. Isn't it? We can use, yeah,
Yes,
only underscore and dollar.
yes.
Yeah, what else? What other naming conventions we have? Yeah, no other character other
And
than a dollar. Yeah, variable name can
and
contain,
space not allowed.
yeah, that's it. Space is also a special character, correct? Variable name can have alphabets, both uppercase, lowercase. Can also include numbers, 0 to 9, correct? Can include any character from this set, can have only these two special characters, and should not start with a number. This is what you are saying as in Java, isn't it? Yeah, I'm writing about to say JavaScript because JavaScript also follows the same naming conventions. Exactly same in terms of special characters, spaces are not allowed. Yeah, same. Moreover, JavaScript name itself is almost same as Java. But on top of that, we use, okay, these same naming conventions are there in JavaScript. That's what I'm saying to say. Yeah, it is almost equal to what is there in JavaScript in terms of naming convention of variables. Same. On top of this, variable names should be camel cased. It's not just variable, even functions are also camel cased. Function, variable, what else? So anything, most of the things that we name in JavaScript, except class, okay, they're all camel case. First of all, let's understand what is camel case. What if you're learning all these things for the first time? What is a camel case? What is camel case? Camel case, yeah, So in camel case, single word, all lowercase. If it is a single word. What if multiple word? Okay, all lowercase except the first character of second word. Second and or every word basically. First character of every word other than the first first word. Just a second. Okay, so I was saying all lowercase except first character of every word. Yeah, so we should be camel case. Example, I've written camel lowercase case C capital. Let's say for example one more word is there. Yeah, then E should be capital. Example. If it is just a single word, then it is just camel, all lowercase. This is called camel case. So we use this convention for everything in JavaScript. Yeah. So just remember this. So this is a variable naming convention that we follow. This is on the naming convention. So why naming convention is so important? Any reason why we dare to, we should think about naming it properly. This we understood naming rules.
Better understanding.
Yeah, this we understood what is the most commonly used convention. Yeah, standard convention is to use this camel case. Yes, now after this, yeah, so naming things right, which means, it is always important you don't name single word, sorry, single character, X, Y, Z. No, I, no, avoid it. For index I, J, no. If at all you want to name I, make it as index. Yeah, so you use a different, or you use a, complete word at least. So we generally say avoid the single line characters because they don't mean anything. They are not giving any meaning to me. X, I can understand what is X, X, X. Y, 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 Y. No, what is the meaning? Later, how do I read that code? Yes, it might be used as mostly we use it an index. That's how we all know that okay, it is index. But that's not recommended. And while naming, also give a proper name so that we understand. For example, if it is holding message, you put it as message. Yeah, if this is holding some message, then put it as message. Don't put it as data. I've seen putting everything as data are very wrong. Okay, and prefixing thing like okay, where variable data. So there are a lot of bad syntaxes just to tell you, or bad way of naming variables, or even using numbers also is wrong. Data 1, x1, x2, y1, y2. These are also wrong. The better one is give a proper name. Use camel case if at all it involves multiple words. And the variable name should exactly match what you are trying to use or what is the purpose of it. Simply randomly don't name things, however you want, because tomorrow somebody has to come and read your code. You yourself will not be able to follow it. Leave it about others actually who are coming. If you're not even caring who are coming after you. Alright. So if at all it is a const, yeah, yeah, you know, you can name them. You can name them using uppercase. But there is no restriction that it has to be uppercase. If at all you make it uppercase, they're saying it is very easier to remember. Yeah. So, so what they're saying, if it is a constant variable, then use uppercase character. If it's a multi-word, you see, then they are using underscore to differentiate or to separate each word. Basically, at every word ending, you are using an underscore if it is a constant. When you have multiple words, it doesn't make sense to combine both the words, correct? So the separator is underscore. And this we prefer if it is a constant variable. Okay, so const variable follows this, and normal variable, what we just told now, the normal variable either using let or then where they follow that particular case. Yeah, and again I am saying repeatedly, so at the end of each and every chapter you have got some tasks to do, and also yeah, 3 4 questions they have given. You can also see the solution if at all you are not clear with the solution. But point is you have to read all these things. You have to practice each of these example. See everything as an example. You see that has got a play button. You can play and run to see what is the output. Yeah, you can play and run this input also. You can even edit this program here itself. Yeah, okay, they have embedding a Plunker, but it is possible to edit things here and then click on run. Alright, so with that let's move on. So what is the next concept we have got? The next concept we have got is actually called data types. So you all know in real world we deal with data which is of different type. It is not like one type that suits every need. Somebody need a number, somebody need a string. So there is no one type which rules everything. There is no one type which works for every type of every kind of value that we deal with. So a few minutes back I mentioned JavaScript is a loosely typed language, and based on the value the type is going to change. And in high level, okay, basically data types say what kind of data the variable is holding. And again, based on the data type, it differs like what kind of operation each of those variable can be used or can be performed. For example, if it's a number, then there are different methods I can invoke on a number variable. If it's a string, then there are different methods I can actually use.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, in variables, what are the differences?
What?
Let to const
Okay. So you are
difference
mentioning.
in an
Uh, okay. I would say a very simple answer and easy one to remember for now. For now to remember is, so const is used for declaring a variable which will not change. You will at the time of initialization only you will say this is so and so value over. If at all it is going to change, then you declare it as let. Do you understand simple? In simple words, this is how it is. But then between the three types, let, var, const, there are a lot of differences actually. We will discuss that now, later actually. But for now, you understand only so much. Now understand the difference that var is a very old and it is not preferred to use.
okay.
Syntactical wise, it's very old. Const, if it's fixed variable, it is not changing, then make it as const. Otherwise, you can use let.
Okay.
Yeah. For now, I think that's enough. All right. So I was telling based on, I mean, what basically data type says, what the type of data it is holding. That basically helps or in invoking different utility methods which are already given by each of the data types. a reference type actually. So in data types, we mainly group primitive types and reference type. But each of the primitive types again have their corresponding reference types also. Maybe what I've told is a bit confusing, but let me tell you. Yeah, let me tell you by telling you what is each of the reference type and all. Yes, in JavaScript we have the simple types, yeah, which are also called primitive types. Primitives. So these primitive types like number is one of the primitive, string is another primitive, boolean is another primitive. We don't have, you know, I mean now they've introduced one type called big hint, but otherwise mostly it is number. String, anything, whether it's a double single quote, then we call it as string. Then we have a boolean type, which is for logical true or false. In A-level classification, we got primitives and reference type. Now there are some more primitives, as in, yeah, primitives like, so there exist undefined, null, also referred as primitives. Plus, there is another type called symbol. This is also referred as primitive. Now, one of the important thing about these primitive types, right? They hold single value. What is it? They hold single value. They will not hold more than one value. They cannot hold more than one value. And primitives are all, immutable. What exactly the meaning of immutable? It means you cannot modify the primitive. Yeah, you cannot modify the primitive. What it means? So let's say I'll show you with an example. Let's say I create a variable called let message is equal to so and so. Now I've created it. Let's say now again I'm trying to go and assign a different value. In this case, it is not modifying this, earlier storage. Instead, it is creating a new variable with this value called test2 and assigning that, you know, address or the reference to this variable called message. So basically we won't be able to modify once they are created. Primitives are like that. Primitives are characterized by that. Yeah, they are immutable. Whereas reference types, example arrays and objects. Yeah, so we have one type called reference type which is called object. We can modify the value. And reference holds, in contrast to primitives, they hold multiple values. Example, if it's an object or an array, so we can store multiple values. And yes, we can update it. They are all mutable. I can update the value which is there. Whereas in case of primitive, the actual variable itself, you cannot override basically. It creates a new one and assigns it up. And JavaScript, since JavaScript is loosely typed language, we don't use these types at the time of creating a variable. Meaning, if I'm creating a variable called message, I don't have to type, let a message which is of type string and then, assign some value or create an, a message with an empty string. No need to even mention this. It's not like no need to, there is no option to mention like this. If at all you want it to be a string, then you initialize it with single quote. If at all you want that message to start with a number, maybe you can start off with something like number. Okay, JavaScript is loosely typed. Now let me introduce another word which is called dynamically typed language. All it means, the type is not determined at compile time. It is determined only during runtime. In runtime, whatever the value the variable holds, that is how the type is. That's called dynamically typed language. Okay, fine, understood. If it is holding something at runtime, how do I know what is its type? What are the different ways to check, the type of a variable here? For that, we have an answer in the form of what is called as type of. Okay, so the name is type of. This acts as both function plus it also acts as an operator. Let me show you some live example what exactly is type of. Yeah, so we got type of operator. So you see type of, and then I can put whatever value I want. I can put 0 and it will display number. Type of true, it will say boolean. I can also use it as a function. So let's say type of, within the bracket I pass the variable name or the actual value. Then it will print me appropriate data type, number, string, boolean, null, undefined, symbol. So using type of operator or a function, I will be able to calculate what is the type of a variable, because JavaScript is dynamically typed language. At times I have to check the type using this type of operator. Very simple, yeah. So here they've given the limit what is possible with respect to a number. So it's, since it is I think acting at like 64, yeah. Again, one of the other thing to remember is the number system, yeah. Like what is used in JavaScript is the floating point precision, and again integers are limited by plus or minus this 253 minus 1, yeah, plus or minus. So meaning both you can have negative and whole numbers as well. Whole numbers, positive numbers. Simple. This is about data type. And rest of the JavaScript, I think we are going to discuss more about each of these. There are chapters to understand just the number itself. Okay, there we will study in detail. So for now, you just have this idea that okay, then I level these are the data types, and we don't use data type along with the variable name. We only have an option to check what type of the variable and what type of data the variable holds, because it is dynamically typed.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have got interaction. So JavaScript, using JavaScript, it is very less, or it is very, limited also. I should say using alert. We have what is called as alert, prompt, and confirm box. These are actually called a dialog box. Let's say I would like to read in some input from the data, I mean from the user, or I want to display something, or some message to the user. We use these three dialogs. One is called alert dialog, another is called prompt, another one is called confirm dialog. So as the name itself says, alert is just to display a message. See, like this, I would like to display whatever message I want. Hello world, ABC, XYZ, anything. I just have to invoke this function called alert. And same way, if I have a prompt basically asks me some input. It will ask me, okay, how old are you? If you're not given, then it will take 100. Okay, let me show you. See, you know, so this dialog is actually a prompt dialog. Previous one where I could not enter input is called alert dialog. Similar to this, so we have next one more dialog which is called Yeah, confirmation dialog which will either display true and false only, yes or no, okay or cancel. So likewise, we have got three different dialog boxes. This is basically to interact with the user of this web page or a website. But in practice, these three are used very, very less. Usage is very less because again, we are not using pure vanilla JavaScript for most of the application. Is it clear? Yeah, I'm just covering it because they are part of it. So you
Yes,
want
sir.
to know them. So at times you want to display something. But otherwise, if at all we want to print anything, we mostly print to the console, not to the viewport. We mostly print things to the console. That's why we use console.log for debugging. Yeah, it's very less that we use alert.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any questions for me so far? We covered variables, data types. Once again, data types we just
ಸರ್
discussed. Yeah.
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಡೇಟಾ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ವಾ ಸರ್?
Mhm.
ಲೈಕ್ ಅದು ಡೇಟಾ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್? C++,
Yes,
ಜಾವಾ
yes, yes.
ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ
All
ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್?
programming languages will have data types.
ಲೈಕ್ ಈಗ ಆ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ನೇಮ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಸರ್? ಅದು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ? ಲೈಕ್
Okay, very good question.
ಇವಾಗ
That
ನಂಬರ್
if,
ಅಂತ
if
ಯೂಸ್
at all
ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
if at all they make everything same, then it becomes the same language. Na? Why? What is the need for one more language then? I'm just saying. Okay, but that's not the answer. Just to make a different, they're making a different types. No, that's how the creators have done like that. Okay, they don't give any reason like okay why we have defined. So your question is why they did not base it as Java only? Why they are trying to introduce their own different types? Correct?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್.
Yeah, they made it. Okay, so it's all basically the language grammar. Yeah, it is also depends on the language grammar or how they have defined it and who created it. It was ECMA organization, ECMA. Okay, that is the European Computer Manufacturing Association that created this language. They proposed this specification.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
Yeah, so two different people, two different organizations. We cannot expect they create the same, but they have created somewhat on the similar lines of Java.
ಯಾ ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
Since we don't use it at the time of declaring a variable, so we don't really worry much on the data types. Later, okay, we have one big section where we talk about each of the data type in detail actually. This is where we will understand each of the data type in detail along with their methods also. Till then, just hold on. Yeah, hold on for some time. I think we can learn.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
Okay. Any other questions? Next, we have got an important topic which is called type conversion. I think to start with, it is very just important to just know the type conversion of these main types: string conversion, number conversion, boolean conversion, which means it is just conversion of these main three primitive types: string to number, string to boolean, boolean to number, boolean to you know the string type. Yeah, just among these three types to start with. There are ways to even convert into reference types also. No need to go to that level. For example, one of the, again in type conversion, you all might have understood this in some other languages. So there is something called implicit conversion, explicit conversion. And in most of the time, there is an implicit conversion which happens. But now what we need to understand is, yes, we need to understand those kind of implicit conversion. Plus, in case we would like to do, how do we do it, which becomes an explicit conversion. Now here they have given an example. Let's say if you use alert statement and even try to put some number, that will automatically convert any value, yeah, into a string to show it. And if you put some mathematical operation, convert, and then finally it will result in number. You're using window dot alert, then it means it is going to convert into a string. Okay. So next, the thing you need to understand is string conversion. So in string conversion, like, okay, there is again a logic. Huh? They are telling, how do I convert? Are there? I think here they give an example of, you know, uh, what kind of, or how do you do a string conversion? First thing, let's say you have a boolean value. How do you do it into a string? Let's say you have a numeric value. How do you do it into string? Yeah. So in string, there is a reference type which is called string. So I was telling you previously, each of these primitives have their corresponding, yeah, I should write this in boolean. So they have their corresponding reference type. Number has a type called number, string has a type called string, and boolean has a type called boolean. So this is lower boolean. So each of them have a corresponding reference type. So for example, now to convert something to a string, we use this. Yeah, we use this constructor. Let's say you want to convert, some boolean value. I think I'm not showing you. So let me show you some live example on this conversion. So let's say you would like to convert some true into a string. See what you're going to get. Let's say you would like to convert some number. How do you convert? Yeah, any big number you want to convert. This is how it is. Yeah, so we can use this constructor string to convert into, into a string. Yeah, so we use this. And then this is how we can actually check. Yeah, so in string conversion is very kind of, you know, mostly obvious, like straightforward. Everything becomes like in quoted, either double quote or single quote. Yeah, so all string conversion, the rule is, they don't change to something, they just become a string form of that time. If you use number, then it becomes a string version of that number. Boolean value is a string version of that value. Before we talk about, Boolean conversion, we have got what is called as numeric conversion. There is also a table which is given here. This is what we need to understand. If at all I convert, what happens? If I try to convert a, anything like undefined into an, numeric type, then it becomes a special value called NaN, which stands for not a number. So it is failing to convert something to a number, but unable to do, yeah, unable to do in that case. So you get what is called NaN. which is another special value. So let's say I would like to convert undefined using numeric number conversion. See, it becomes NaN, not a number. So likewise, they've given you a complete table, what happens from where to where. So have a read. I think maybe we will discuss in detail maybe tomorrow with some more example. Boolean conversion is very easy. Yeah, Boolean conversion is very easy. Why? Because Boolean has a set of values are considered as Boolean values. This is very important to remember. Undefined, null, okay, 0, an empty space, yeah, and actually a false. These values are considered as falsy values. If at all during the conversion, if it comes under any of these values, then the answer you are going to get is false. Meaning conversion will become false. Rest of the value, whatever you have other than this set, it becomes a true. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So which means, so even if you type plus 10, that is true. Even if you type minus 10, that is also true. Why? Because only 0 is actually considered as false. In if expression, if conditions, whenever writing, very important to understand what becomes, what is a conversion outcome. How does my integer conversion happens? Two transactions. Yeah. So this is actually called type conversion. So I think they've given that to start with. You understand only this much about the type conversion between each of these three types only. Number to Boolean conversion, Boolean to number conversion, string conversion. But again, how do we do? Yes, we use this constructor like string, which is for a string type. We use number for a numeric type. We use again Boolean for a Boolean type. Very easy, straightforward. Again, this is for explicit type conversion. There are so many places where implicit conversion already happens. Yeah, this is only required for explicit conversion. But there are places where conversion happens implicitly. Okay, just to say what is implicit conversion and how it happens, let me show you one quick example. Since I'm making explicit implicit. So, can you guess what is the output of 1 plus, if I put in single quote another one, I put one between the quotes. Can you tell me what is the output?
Sir, 11, sir.
11, correct? Why? Because it is doing some conversion. You know what conversion it is doing? If one of the operand is string, then it will convert the other one into a string. This is implicit conversion. But you don't want this to happen. You want it to count it as 2. How do you do it? Then you go for explicit conversion.
Sir, if it is alphabets, means
Yeah. So again, we found a rule here. If it is alphabet, if it is a string, I'm trying to convert a numeric conversion. That time you see what happens. It is going to try to see if it can convert or if it can extract a number. Yeah. From start to end, all the new lines, tab, everything will be removed before converting to that, you know, string form of or a string into a number. If the remaining string is empty, then the result is 0. Okay, you will get a 0. What it simply means, So numeric conversion of an empty string is 0. Otherwise, it will try to read a number. For example, ABC, unable to convert. That came only, it becomes NaN, not a number. Yeah. Let's say within the string I have got, okay, and then let's say now you see A. Let's say if I try to put this, then it is unable to convert. Then it becomes NaN. Alright? Yeah. Okay. So this is about type conversion. Have a read. We can have one more discussion to understand if there are things are not clear. Practice the examples what they have given in this basic type conversion.